Hello and welcome to the fourth live of the Oracle Speak. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for staying with us. And we welcome all folks who are watching it with us today and who have been supporting us in the last 4 months. Today, as you can see, we have a new guest, a friend, a collaborator, and so many more things with us here. And her name is Roshni. So, what is Oracle Speaks all about? So, if you are a new person here, we would like to tell you that this we bring you this updates which contains astrology, which has tarot, and which has some cosmic updates as well. Our idea of the podcast is to demystify these concepts, these constructs, and move away from blind faith, move away from prediction, move away from prescriptive ways of looking at this, and move into really using this to empower yourself, to be in charge, to be in autonomy, to really tap into your sovereign self. Yeah, this is more of a way to cultivate your own awareness of personal, interpersonal, as well as collective. We believe that all of us here have the power of the intuition and we can tap into it. And this is our invitation for all of us over here to really tune in and receive and believe in your own gifts and intuition. So while you listen to the updates over here of different forms, what we would like you to do is stay in touch with what comes up for you. You might have a thought, an idea, a memory, an image, yeah, or just a bodily feeling or a sensation. Really, that's what is important for you to know. Take what really resonates with you. Yeah. And on that note, we have Renuka, Laila, Saili. Welcome. Oh my God, this is so good to see. Yeah. So we've just started. We gave an intro of what this podcast is about. And I'll pass on to Aarti. Aarti will welcome us into the space.
Hello, everyone. It's so nice to see you here and, to come together and bring these updates and not only share with you, but also receive from you what you are sensing, what you are feeling, where you are on your journey. And today we're going to start with astrology updates with Rosh. So Aakanksha and I know Rosh for a while now. We've been co-hosting Chandrakala gatherings all of last year and doing energy updates with her. So we're really happy to bring her to this space as well and have her share with us some insights. And then I will be taking over after that and doing tarot to bring it into like practical steps. And then Aakanksha will come and tie it all together with cosmic updates and help us make sense of how we can, embody these cosmic energies. And with that, I'm going to ask you to come here and share with us all this many, many exciting stuff. Rosh.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's always nice to do this in a with a group, because sometimes you feel things, and fear and self-doubt are also big forces. So, but when you're with other people, you even just the presence, even without words, it feels validated that like Aakanksha said, our thoughts, our dreams, our symbols are real and they're speaking to us. So my a little bit of why I study, I would say I'm a student of astrology, is and my kind of astrology is very much based in queer justice and social justice. It's the idea that I don't see astrology as something that is predictive or is prescriptive. So it doesn't tell you what you should be doing or what is going to happen or might not happen, but I use it as a tool for self-actualization. So it's a paradigm, it's another vocabulary in the understanding of the self, and that's how I see it. And a sort of larger way is, for us, if we better understand ourselves, we understand what we bring, what is our value, and what is our place in the larger revolution. And that's sort of my way of looking at astrology, and why I'm drawn to this art form. So I just wanted to, because take a little bit of a slightly zoomed out view and speak a little bit about what the next month holds for us in terms of what is really happening. What are the big transits that are happening? There are small transits happening every day. There are energies that are shifting every day. But I want to look at the bigger transits and see how what you might be feeling on the inside is actually mapping onto what is really shifting around, and when what is shifting around and how that might show up in ourselves. So as we know, we're right now in the Aquarius season, and it is soon going to be transiting into Pisces. And if you understand the zodiac, the cycle, these are the last two of in the Western astrology. These are the last two signs that the sun is moving through. And what this brings with it, it brings the wisdom of the last sort of 12 months, the last of the 12 houses, right? It is saying that the sun, if the sun was a living creature like us, it has been a young, foolish infant. It has gone through all of the different houses to get the wisdom that it comes with now. And that's where it's sitting. It's sitting with a lot of wisdom. And that's also where we're at, whether we look at, call it the last 2 years of pandemic, call it, like the different lives we've been leading. We hear a lot around pre-pandemic and what this is and how we're shifting. While this is happening in the real world, in the 5D world, also this is happening. So if we were to ask astronomers, and there's a lot of and astrologers, they would laugh, and people are like, oh, I never saw this coming. And the meme is like, yeah, and they're smoking a cigarette because they're like, really, you didn't see it coming? You should have asked us, right? And so this has been written. I mean, of course, it didn't have a name and a form like this virus, but if we were to tune in and look back, we did think that there would be such a big event that was going to connect us and isolate us at the same time. It's a weird phenomenon. We've never been so connected, but we've never been so isolated. And the sun and the stars have gone through that over the last 18 months. And what it has done for us, and I really want to tap into the Aquarius energy right now, is that it's given us many ways of being. And also the validation that many parts of us, many forms of us can coexist. So the sign of the Aquarius is the water bearer, right? It's often depicted as a beautiful pot. It's someone pouring water out. It's a water carrier, which taps into the energy that the water takes up any form that you put it in. It can be a pot, it can be a vessel, it can be a vase. And if you look at what's happening in our 3D world, we've been asked to go from working in person to online to offline to hybrid, non-hybrid. There's all these names for it, and we've done it. Our bodies have done it. Yes, we feel it in terms of trauma. We feel it in terms of pain. We feel it in terms of chronic illness and long COVID. But with a lot of that brings wisdom that we can. So if we were living with the knowledge system and belief system that, we were a certain way and I need a certain way to live and be, this is trying to tell us that actually you have many shapes that you can take up. And this is really a time to tap into that wisdom and say, which are the shapes I like? What is the shape that I like being? And I don't just mean the physical form, because I know a lot of talk right now is also about the bodily form. But what are those shapes that I like seeing? And what are those wisdom structures that still hold true for me? And as we shift into the last sign, which is the Pisces, which is the wisest sign, as we say, or sometimes people call it the oldest sign. It's a sign which talks about the depths of water, right? It lives in the underwater world. So some of you might experience a lot of dreams, a very, very chaotic dreams that come up with bizarre symbols, and none of that makes sense to you. And my invitation is to not be afraid of it, or to actually sit with that fear if it comes up, or sit with that curiosity, because it's very symbolic time. And it's asking you to touch, it's drawing this beautiful thread of what we knew to be the truth, what was those knowledge systems, what is something that we believed as fact, both about ourselves and our capabilities. What did we know, what could we be, and what did we have? And has that shifted for us in the last 18 months? And what are the different many ways that we can embody these things differently? And which ones do we like? So if you're getting these symbols, if you're getting symbols, not to be afraid of it and be like, oh my God, I dreamt this crazy dream, but to be like, what is that telling me? What is that? Why is that fear coming up? When did I last see this fear come up in the 18 months? And how did I deal with that? Who was my network? Was I there for myself? So to tune into that and to remember that this is a time when the world around us is moving really fast. Suddenly offices are opening up, restaurants are back, we're in a curfew, but we're not. There's expectations on our social time, there's demands from our energy. People are like, oh, we can meet, let's do this, let's start this project, let's get this on the road because we've been waiting. And I think, again, to tap back into your wisdom and be like, wait, I can choose exactly what form I take. I can go fast, I can go slow, and I can set those boundaries the way that water sets those boundaries. If you need a time to be still in a pond and cool, that is great. But if you feel the rush coming through and you say, no, I feel great and I have the rush and the power of the hydraulic energy coming, and the water is going to go and break through some obstacles that are there, then tap into that. So we will also be going in, we will be having, the lunation will obviously continue through that doesn't stop. But this was my just an overall sort of energy update and tying it in with the transit. And to remember, I think the big words would be, figure out where you've been shape shifting in the last few months and what are the shapes you've liked. Figure out what is the new forms of wisdom, or maybe old forms of wisdom that you had forgotten that are coming back to you. And if symbols are coming back to you, stay with it because they're trying to tell you something. Thanks.
Thank you, Rosh. That was really, really powerful. I love how you put everything into context and really made us tune into, okay, this is what's been happening. And now we're, really integrating this over the last 18 months. Thank you for giving us that overview. All right. So I'm going to go into tarot now. It's really powerful how every time we meet, we don't really discuss what each of us is going to say, but it always lands up being on the same page. So here we go again. The card that I picked, we usually do a message that says, a message for humanity right now. Okay, the sun is here. Okay, yeah, here you go. So the card is the initiation. Yeah, you can see like this cave. There is lightning, and it seems like a cove and the ocean here. Rite of passage, crossing the threshold. So this has been a theme that's very alive for me. There's also a snake right here. You can see it. It's about like shedding skins and transformation. Initiations they sound exciting, but they're also terrifying. It's like a jolt that goes down our spine and makes us wake up, sometimes through grief, sometimes through a lot of changes, through realizing our potential and realizing we can't lie to ourselves anymore. And then we have to go through a voyage, like where we have to really see things that we were not seeing earlier, and we have to go within and notice that there is a shift that we are being asked to make. There is a leap of faith. And during the initiation, you can also see the card is really dark. So there's not much light in this space because there is a lot of subconscious mind activations. There's a lot of deeper realizations which may not really be seen on the outside. But when the time is right, like we'll be led to going out into the world. And using that initiation analogy, the card that I picked from the Osho deck about how we can take it further is ordinariness. So, when we receive an initiation, we're like, oh my God, like now I'm awakened, yeah. But actually, we're supposed to really be present and grounded in our daily life, like that Buddhist quote about chop wood, carry water, like even after enlightenment, the same thing we have to do every day, chop wood, carry water. And this card is about, spending time in nature, being in the present moment, being in our bodies, um, focusing on household chores and seeing the spiritual in the mundane, and anchoring ourselves a lot in our daily practices. Like when you take care of yourself, when you have these daily practices where you are really allowing yourself to be replenished, where there is something that you go to regularly to anchor yourself, to remind yourself of who you are, of what you need to do. Let's say with things going at such a fast pace, and with Pisces season, we might be feeling really watery, feeling like, for those of us who are sensitive and emotionally, very, who have a large spectrum of emotions, like it is going to be an intense month even in Pisces season in some ways. We'll be really like feeling things and processing things and expanding our container, and during this time, really being anchored in our daily life, in our waking up, folding the blanket and the bed sheet, waking up, going to the kitchen, making ourselves some warm water. And these things will keep us going so that we can see all the possibilities. Because that will also be happening, as much as we are anchored in our daily life, we're going to be anchored in all the possibilities that are opening up for us. And as you can see, the eagle here is looking at the sunrise and the beautiful terrain. We're going to realize that we're so much more than we can ever imagine. Because after the initiation, like we will no longer be able to fool ourselves. Like we would have reached that destination. And we're both human, at the same time, we're really powerful beings connected to source. And how do we, live in a reality where we're anchored in both these dimensions and planes, in a way that holds our sanity as well as lets us really expand and experience this beautiful life that we have chosen to live. So, yeah, that is the message for this month. And I think my time is up. All right. So I'm going to pass it on to Aakanksha now.
Thank you, Rosh, and thank you, Aarti. When you guys speak, my brain starts to work. So me coming in, I think one of the things that really stands out is we are multidimensional beings, and there is no kidding about it. It's all about how do we experience it. Yeah. So both your sharings really reflected that many ways of being coexisting in many forms, right? There is ordinariness and there is the land of possibilities. So now the question comes is, okay, we have all these great insights maybe, or information maybe through our dreams, through very random but very synchronous, asynchronous encounters. And what do I do with it? How do I live with it? It overwhelms sometimes, it scares sometimes, and it also feels alone sometimes because there's a lack of understanding that you may face if you share it with people. So there are some real challenges that come up with it. Two things that really stand out is, one that I can see is the energy of the Aquarius and the energy of the Piscean. Again, you're working with really big energies. And when that is present, it's like you're continuously in a state of friction. You're being pulled in very two opposite ends, and you're being churned and churned. and it becomes difficult to find your center sometimes. In, in fact, a lot of times. So, lot of information download, pulled in different directions, churned out, and it feels very shaky. So, what happens when we fall back on ways that we have always known that we can hold on to, but when we are in a multidimensional way, they don't work, right? So, what can we do? So, I'm looking at very practical things today, right? So, one of the things is the pace of my life and the pace of the world, right? Keep a check, um, which is moving very fast. If I feel I am fast along with the world, then it feels all right because there's a sudden validation of it. But if my pace is slower, that means I'm accessing a lot of information at this point. There is just too much of downloading happening, maybe from different realms. So your dream space is very, very active, possibly. Encounters with symbols, as Rosh also said, is very much possible. So the ordinariness of life is actually, well, even when you are drinking water, you're fixing yourself up with a nice food or drink or just bathing yourself. Um, you're still experiencing a lot of change in your body at a very cellular level. Allow that to happen and trust uh, the larger field that exists around us, exists around you. That's where it allows you to stay connected with the very mundane things along with the 5D landscape. Um, how can you do that? You know, one of the things that I've seen is that can really help is to connect with the energy of the sun because it's the energy of wisdom for this cycle. A lot of old cycles might be again reaching completion or new information coming to the surface. So, power of the sun, opening yourself to the wisdom of the sun. Everybody can create their own simple rituals. Yeah. So this is really grounding the 5D into your 3D life. All right. Uh, like for example, what do I do? I felt that this month I need to somewhere bridge between the night and the sun, the morning and the night. I don't know why I felt it. So let's not go into the whys because it's just useless after a point. Um, and I was very attracted to the energy of water. I was very attracted to the energy of stones. So I kept a stone, I kept a glass of water in the night, and in the morning I would pick that water. If I feel like drinking, I'll drink it. If I feel like just sprinkling, I'll sprinkle it. So really trust your intuitive sense to ground these powerful energies into your everyday life. There were times, and I connected with a few other friends of mine, that the energy of fire, again sun, very present. What does it feel like doing? It feels like lighting an oil lamp. I was just drawn to light an oil lamp. Do it. Very simple. Or you might be drawn to cook. Again, fire, creation. Yeah. Or you may be drawn to paint things which have no clue about why you are painting, but you are just drawn to do it. Yeah. Let let your gifts uh, and your talents and your abilities and your capacities be the channel for you, and to trust yourself in that moment, even if it makes no sense. So this is really important when you're grounding these kind of energies into your everyday life. The second thing is also can happen for a lot of people is ancestral information opening up. I have experienced it with myself through my dreams. I experienced with my friend who's here. I experienced with another friend who's here online. And I experienced with my third friend who's actually living with her family. So when I see it like that, it appears to be some kind of a theme. So that line It's giving us some message, and what I have seen is that either it is a message of completion, either it is a message of rest, that okay, this is enough, you have done enough. So a message of boundaries, a message of really taking your own place in this life. So there could be those messages also for us. Uh, Third thing is more of a collective that I can also see is really choosing your energy bridges. This is the word that came to me. Energy bridges. Energy bridges could be your collaborators. Energy bridges could be your alliances. Energy bridges could be your affiliates. When you are operating more in a multi-dimensional sort of a setup, how it shows up in your life, you will see there are a lot of crossovers, as in you are doing multiple roles, you are also interacting with multiple mediums, you are interacting with various forms of work also. Your relationships will have a lot of overlaps. Yeah. So you are really living in a complexity that we have not seen before, or we have tried to simplify so much that we now don't know how to live in these complex structures that are emerging in front of us, and nobody has a map for it. So our map is our intuition, and our 3D practices allow us to stay with that intuitive sense. So pace yourself out. Now, coming back, choosing your collaborators is equally important, because not just you will be working with them, but you will also be energetically picking up information. And a lot of information started to open up this time. Multiple channels flowing here and there. You may see shifts in power dynamics showing up, right? So, what is our relationship with power? Again, when you're interacting with another person or another organization, yeah, all of those things. So, choose, make boundaries, uh, make bridges, uh, and if you crash, come back to yourself, what nourishes you, and then see where you need to make another boundary. So this is the third thing that opened up when I was looking at it. If you are able to stay in touch with the power of your multidimensionality, the power of your manifestation will be opened up very much in your life. So I think a lot of us start to doubt ourselves. Oh, this is happening. This is really, really happening. And it takes a while to really believe that this is actually happening. Yeah, it's okay. That's how it feels. That's all I want to say. Just validate your experience that, yeah, this is how I feel. There have been days like it feels like nothing was on the surface, a lot of things were happening underground, and now there is so much of surge of energy just coming up. Yeah. Know that if you are being given that energy, that means you are being given the power, the ability to stay with it also. Yeah. Um, these are few things. Rite of passages, initiations. You may feel that themes that were showing up in the last 18 to 20 months. So you can consider the time of somewhere of mid of Corona. Yeah. They might be nearing completion, and you might be experiencing some kind of a change in form of a, you can call it a rebirth. Yeah. It can be sometimes disorienting. How do I connect with the world when I'm in that kind of a state? That's how it feels. That's what I'm trying to tell here. Yeah? Initiations are not very held and supported in our collective fields right now, the way individuals are experiencing it. So give yourself the liberty to really rest if you need to rest. Give yourself the liberty to really seek the kind of things you are drawn to. Yeah. Um, Nature practices are very much present. Even in the last 2 years, we have seen it over and over again. That connection can feel very strongly present now. There's a clearing of that channel. Other thing is also like even in your body, start to see how you experience your body, because you'll experience this kind of shifts very much through your bodily material. Before you give a meaning to it, see if you can start looking at it differently, because your old associations would have started to somewhere diminish if it's the cycle of completion coming in. Yeah. So these are some things that come up for me. Anything that you both feel like needs to be added, go ahead. Uh, or else we open it up for the group and the participants to ask their questions, even share if something they want to share with us. And we have another 10 minutes for that. And we will wrap up. And the recording will be available.
Also, I want to share about a new offering that Aakanksha has just launched. Some of you might already know. Aakanksha and Chronica have really created this really thoughtful and beautiful container for women called Parijat, and they have a 4-month program called Kasturi. And Aakanksha, would you like to share more about it?
I always forget this stuff. Thank you, Aarti. Yeah, it's a program which is specifically being designed for people who are in the age group of 30 and above, and wanting to somewhere, as women, wanting to somewhere really reimagine what it is like to be my own self. What is it like to nurture my dreams, to nurture my relationships, but not at the cost of myself, not at the cost of my well-being, not at the cost of my, suppressing my voice. How would that be like? And we feel that this is a step that we are taking towards really embodying the principles of the feminine in our world. And how and where can we start doing that? So that's the overall idea. Um, you can come and participate either in one of the modules. There are 4 modules to it. You can participate in all the 4, any number that you feel. You can also gift it to women in your life, sisters, mothers, friends, colleagues, yeah, anybody that you would like to. And more of information, I'll put some links in the description. And at the same time, I'm sharing quite a bit of information on Instagram. And you can always message me. Thank you. Right. Any questions, reflection, resonance, even dissonance for that matter? You might be feeling something very different. Yeah. Uh, this is just open to everybody now.